so you don't get girls. Fear not, I'm here to help. Using the power of science and psychology, I'm going to make you the reincarnated male version of Regina freaking George. Let's begin. Lesson 1. The scarcity principle. Psychologist Dr. Robert Cialdini has famously proposed in his book, opportunities seem more valuable to us when their availability is limited. We see this quite often in marketing. It explains why billionaires would rather have a lame, slow car that's a one of one than an insanely fast, cool car that's in production. And it's also why everyone tells you nice guys finish last, and why most of the time it's true. It's not because girls don't like nice guys, it's because the nice guys make themselves readily available, and jerks don't really care. Subsequently, their availability is limited and they are seen as a more valuable opportunity. But what they don't tell you is you don't have to be a jerk to be scarce. In fact, a nice guy displaying himself in a way that makes him scarce is so rare that by using Dr. Cialdini's logic of scarcity, it should be 10 times more attractive than your average jerk. So how specifically do you do this? Well, say you see a girl you like at a party, surrounded by dudes trying to rizz her up. You may think you don't stand a chance, but actually you have the best chance. Walk over to her and her swarm of simps, walk past, and while you pass, look at her and say hi in a friendly way. Keep walking, go talk to a friend. Bonus points if that friend is a girl. You saying hi and doing nothing else is essentially hanging a limited edition sign on your neck. You aren't readily available like the boys in our Gremlin gang. You're something that needs to be pursued or lost forever. Lesson 2. The gain-loss theory. Building on the scarcity principle, the gain-loss theory of attraction explains more in detail why nice guys might seemingly finish last. A clever study tested this theory by having volunteer college students engage in a series of one-on-one meetings. After the meeting, the volunteer would accidentally overhear the experimenter describe them in one of 4 ways. All positive, all negative, initially negative but becoming positive, or initially positive but becoming negative. When asked later how much they liked the experimenter, volunteers would expectedly like the experimenter when the evaluation was completely positive, but surprisingly they liked the experimenter even more when the evaluation was initially negative but became positive. The findings support the idea that winning people over who had an initial bad impression is way more rewarding to us than someone who liked us all along. But you need to be careful if you're trying to use this on a girl, because trying to demonstrate that someone has left a bad impression can kind of be hard without being a jerk. A good way to do this subtly is through tone and body language. Also, you need to ensure that once you have decided they've won you over, you convey that clearly. If it's not clear to the girl you've been won over and they just think you don't like them, they won't want to be around you, which is kind of a huge problem and leads us to the next bit. Lesson 3. Proximity. In lesson 1, I told you need to be scarce, but it's important to understand that you need to be scarce in terms of attention, not proximity. In a study on friendship formation, researchers asked nearly 300 MIT dormitory residents to list their closest friends. The researchers then looked at where the listed friends lived in the dorms. When someone lived one dorm away, there was a 41% likelihood they were listed as a close friend. As the numbers of doors increased, the likelihood decreased, so those living 4 doors away only had a 10% likelihood of being listed as a close friend. You need to be physically near the girl you like, but good proximity isn't just mutual geographical location, it's also frequency. For example, you have a better chance with a girl you see 10 minutes every day than you do with a girl that you see for 1 hour every week. If you don't have good proximity, you stand no chance. So in such a case, you need to create good proximity artificially. But you need to be subtle about this. Change your route to class to pass her, join a club she's in, do what you need to do. But please don't be creepy. There's a fine line in trying to create proximity and stalking. Do not cross that line. Say you do have good proximity and you've made yourself seem won over. How do you retain her positive feelings towards you? Lesson 4. The Ben Franklin effect. Ben Franklin's secret to being so loved by everyone he knew was that he asked everyone for tons of favors. You may think asking favors of people will make them dislike you because you're burdening them with something, but quite the opposite is true. A study in 1971 at the University of North Carolina had volunteers give out tests to actors pretending to be other students. Of course, the volunteers thought they were administering the study to other volunteers, but actually they were the subject. The volunteers were told the students would watch as they used sticks to tap out long patterns on wooden cubes. The students would then be asked to repeat the pattern. Each volunteer was told to try 2 different methods on 2 different groups. In one group, the volunteers were told to give encouragement when the students got the patterns right. In another separate group, the volunteers were told to insult and criticize the students when they made a mistake. Afterwards, the volunteers filled out a debriefing questionnaire, which included questions about how attractive and likable their students were. Across the board, the students who received the insults were rated as less attractive than the ones who received encouragement, concluding that when you do something kind to someone else, you like them more. So you need to give the girl you like opportunity to be kind to you. A great way to do this is to ask for little favors. Ask for the time. Drop your pencil in her direction and let her get it for you. Ask if she'll help you with something you're working on. Stupid little stuff like this actually works and makes you more attractive as a human. But nothing I've said so far in this video matters at all if you disregard this next, possibly most important truth. Lesson 5. The Discord mod effect. In 1997, a study done by Moranian and Blum came to an interesting conclusion. The two researchers surveyed 117 male and female college kids with 76 different photos of the opposite sex. They were asked to rank each photo on their attractiveness and emotional response. The study concluded that the most attractive features were not genetic traits, but instead came down to good posture, noticeable grooming, nice fitting clothing, a seemingly positive attitude, and a healthy weight. Let me repeat that. The most attractive features are not genetic. If you put a little effort in, exercise regularly, keep your chin up, shoulders back, shower daily, wear good clothes, and put a smile on your face, maybe girls won't be repelled by you when you walk in a room. You can do everything else right, but if you look like a Discord mod, it doesn't matter, she won't want you. And that brings us to the finale. Lesson 6. Luck. Believe it or not, it will almost always come down to genetic compatibility. So let's step away from psychology and talk neurobiology. Two things play a part in ultimately determining long-term attraction, and both have veto power over pretty much everything. The first component is your nose. Your nose detects something called pheromones. These carry physical and genetic information and also activate a physiological or behavioral response if pheromones are compatible. But even if they are, a woman's nose functions a bit differently, because while they do take in pheromones, their noses are also attuned to MHC molecules, which are used to fight disease. Interestingly, in this particular situation, opposites attract. There's a study that had a group of women smell t-shirts that had been worn by different men. The study showed that women almost always prefer the odors of those whose MHC molecules differ from theirs, which makes sense because genetic variation, especially when it comes to immunities, is a huge survival advantage for an offspring. Unfortunately, boys, we don't have that MHC sense, which means to us, we might match up across the board, but if your MHC molecules don't differ from hers, it might be hard for her to be romantically attracted to you. The second and possibly most important component to attraction, the first kiss. First kiss is a huge complex exchange of tactile and chemical cues happening through the smell of your breath and the taste of your mouth. This moment is so critical that the majority of women have reported losing their attraction to someone after a bad first kiss. But if things do go well, the nervous system pumps out norepinephrine, activating the fight or flight system. The heart beats fast, the pupils dilate, and energy increases. In this case, fellas, you're in.